After genuinely like a really long time of trying to decide what videos I wanted to make for this channel, an idea came into my head while I was playing Fate Unlimited Codes. And I thought, what if I just started by trying to play as many fighting games as I can? And so I decided, screw it. That's an amazing idea. And having said that, maybe it would have been smarter to start with Fate Unlimited Codes, but as you can probably tell by the title of the video, that's not going to happen. Instead, I am starting on the first fighting game that I ever played, or more correctly, the first fighting game series that I ever remembered playing. Super Smash Bros. Is a bit of a departure from traditional fighting games. Instead of featuring a health bar at the top of the screen and a flat ground for your fighters to walk on, it features a percentage in the bottom of the screen and platforms for your fighters to fight on. Normally, in fighting games, your objective is to whittle down your opponent's health, but in Smash Bros, it is to knock your opponent off of the platform, and the higher percentage your opponent has, the easier this will be. The first Super Smash Bros. Game was released in Japan for the Nintendo 64 on January 21st, 1999, and then in the same year it was re-released in North America on April 26th and again in Europe on November 19th. Though it isn't what it was originally supposed to be when the game was first being created, Smash Bros. Was released as a crossover between multiple franchises owned by Nintendo, featuring characters from Mario, Donkey Kong, The Legend of Zelda, Pokemon, Metroid, Star Fox, Mother, or Earthbound as it was known outside of Japan, and Kirby. Obviously, later Smash Bros. Games included more franchises, but those are the ones included in the original Smash Bros. Also, F-Zero. I don't have that written here on my notes, but F-Zero was in the first Smash Bros. Because that's where Captain Falcon comes from. Yeah, anyway. So far, Smash Bros. Has 4 sequels. Super Smash Bros. Melee for the GameCube, Super Smash Bros. Brawl for the Wii, Super Smash Bros. 4 for the 3DS and Wii U, and then Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the Switch. I'll get to those eventually. This video is obviously about Super Smash Bros. 64, but I'll get to the other ones at some point in time. And as for what I'm actually going to cover in these videos, it will kind of differ depending on the game, but as a general, I'll try to show like a little bit of gameplay as each character. Maybe not every character for some of the later ones that I want to do, which will get pretty big. And then I'll probably say like which character I like playing the most, or which character I like playing the least, and I'll talk about the different game modes that it has, and go into a little bit more detail on any that have a story. Even if it's just like individual stories that characters have in arcade modes, and yeah, but that's about it for the introduction. So, Super Smash Bros. Was released in 1999, as I said earlier, so it doesn't really have much in terms of like game modes and things. It's got a one player mode, which has its own separate game modes inside of it, a versus mode, options, and data. You can also unlock menus for sound tests and the ability to switch items, like which items show up when you're playing. But yeah, options is what it sounds like. It just allows you to change some of the game settings. The data menu has versus record, which records your matchups in game in versus mode. I don't actually know what it does. I didn't really research that. And it has characters, which has like an individual data sheet for each character. Yeah. The versus mode has its own options menu, which will allow you to toggle between stock and time, adjust how many lives or stocks you have, and then, how much time you have as well. And then it's got the actual versus mode where you can play with up to 4 people or computer controlled characters. The one player game in Smash Bros. 64 is what later becomes the classic mode in later entries of the series. I'll go into that later. There's also a training mode where you can try out the characters without having to worry about your opponent fighting back. And then there's 2 separate modes to practice the bonus mini games that you'll encounter in the one-player game, which is only 2 out of the 3 bonus mini games, because there is 3, which I will say later. Anyway, the first of the 2 practice bonus games is Break the Target, where you have a limited amount of time to break all of the targets, and you will also lose if you fall out of the stage. I'm not great at this one. I'm also not entirely great at this entire game, but that's not the point. The second of the 2 bonus practices is Board the Platforms, where you will have to stand on each individual platform before the time runs out. And again, if you fall off the stage, you will lose regardless. As I said over and over again, there are 12 characters in Super Smash Bros. 64. 8 of which you start with, and 4 of which you have to unlock. The 8 starting characters, which as I say their names, I will also show like a little bit of gameplay. Not great gameplay. Again, I'm not great at this game. And those 8 characters are Mario from the Mario series, Donkey Kong from the Donkey Kong series, Link from The Legend of Zelda, Samus from Metroid, Yoshi from the Mario series, or Yoshi depending on who you're talking to, but technically it came from Mario first. Fox from Star Fox. And Pikachu from Pokemon. 3, 2, 1, go! And then the other 4 must be unlocked in their own ways, as I have said. The first of the 4 ones that I unlocked is Jigglypuff, which is done by beating the one-player game mode once. Then Captain Falcon is unlocked by beating the one-player game mode in under 20 minutes with no continues. This can be done on any difficulty, and I think you also can't use more than 3 lives. Ness is unlocked by defeating the one-player game on normal difficulty with 3 lives or less and no continues. And Luigi is unlocked by beating the bonus 1 practice target blasts with all 8 starting characters. Obviously, Jigglypuff is from Pokemon, Captain Falcon is from F-Zero, Ness is from Mother or Earthbound, and Luigi is from Mario. There is also one unlockable stage, which is unlocked by beating the one-player game mode with all 8 characters and playing every stage on versus mode at least once. I didn't do that. I got what I needed for this video, and I don't like playing Smash 64. Yeah, it is really janky. I like the newer Smash Bros. Games, but that's just me. With the one-player game mode and later becoming the classic mode, I will also talk about this in other Smash Bros. Videos when I get to them. The only one where each character has their individual, like, set matches is Smash Bros. Ultimate. In Melee, Brawl, and 3DS and Wii U, it is randomized, I believe. Actually, I can't remember for Brawl. I might be wrong for Brawl. But in Melee, it is random. In 3DS and Wii U, it's kind of like you have 3 paths you can choose at each moment, but I'm pretty sure those are all random. And then in Smash Bros. 64, which is the one I'm talking about right now, it is the same set matches for every character. So I'm only going to go through them once. And I'm going to do that playing as Donkey Kong, because I was playing as Donkey Kong when I completed all the conditions to unlock an S. And I think it would be boring to go through and show it with each character. It would probably be also boring to just hear me talking about it. So let's go into it. The first stage is just a standard fight against Link. There's nothing really more to it. And then the second stage is where things start to get interesting, because instead of just fighting one character, you are fighting multiple Yoshis. I think there was 18 to be exact. Yes, 18. I have it in my notes, it says 18. And then the third stage is another normal fight, but this time against Fox. The first bonus stage is the previously mentioned Target Blast. The fourth stage is a team fight where your ally is Samus and your opponents are Mario and Luigi. The fifth stage is a normal fight against Pikachu. And again, you team up in the sixth stage, though this time with Pikachu and Fox against the giant Donkey Kong. Then it's the second bonus stage, which is Board the Platforms. A team of 8 Kirbys with different copy abilities is what makes up the 7th stage. Then the 8th stage is another normal fight, this time against Samus. And the 9th stage is a mostly normal fight against Metal Mario, which is just Mario, but he moves slower and he is harder to launch. I'm actually not entirely sure if he moves slower. I just know that he is harder to launch. And then the final bonus stage, which you can't practice and can only play through this game mode, is a race to the finish. Where you have to get from a level 5 down to level 1 in only a minute, avoiding various obstacles and enemies. The first time I did this, I completed it, but that was not playing as Donkey Kong. I got close though. I got very close. The 10th stage is a fight against a polygon team, which consists of 30 fighters stripped down to their polygons, and then it finally ends with a fight against Master Hand. Fight against Master Hand. That's what I've got written there. It is just a fight against Master Hand. And yeah, that's it. That's all I'm going to talk about for Smash 64. Sorry if this video was a little boring or chaotic or just not well put together. That is just me in a nutshell. I'm hoping that in time I'll get better at making videos, and also hopefully the ones that have like story modes or individual stories will be more interesting, more entertaining to watch. Also the games that I'm just straight up better at, so that it's not as shitty gameplay, those will probably be more entertaining. But yeah, if you made it this far, consider liking and subscribing. And maybe, if there's some fighting game out there that you want to hear some random Australian young adult talking about, let me know, and I might get to it sooner rather than later, because honestly, I have a very long list of fighting games that I want to talk about already. But yeah, that's all. I hope you enjoyed your day.